Jordy here for Cinecom.net, and this is Creative Wednesday, in which we tackle 5 tips and tricks for editing or filmmaking. And today is all about interviews. Now, I've shot hundreds of interviews in my career, and when I look back at it, I also see how I have artistically grown. Comparing my first interview to one of my latest is day and night difference. So that is why I'd like to share 5 tips from my experience that will make your interviews look professional and stand out from the rest. But first, I'd like to remind everyone that we're giving away over $10,000 in film gear as part of a 5-day deal. So you'll definitely want to click the first link in your description down below. As of tomorrow, the 3rd of June until the 8th, we're also going to collaborate with some amazing filmmakers such as Film Riot, Full-Time Filmmaker, Hollywood DP, Shane Hurlbut, and many others. And during those 5 days, we'll be picking out the winners for the giveaway, but also we're going to throw an insane amount of discount on our products. And I'm talking about more than 90% discount here, but I'll get into more details tomorrow. You definitely don't want to miss out on that video also, so make sure that you are subscribed and that you have enabled the notification bell. Alright, let's get started with the first tip, lighting. We'll start here in the studio. We'll also show a more practical example after this. The first setup is very basic. The interviewee sits on a chair, and we've got a camera set up and someone is sitting next to it asking the questions. When we look at the shot, the talent looks to the right side. So when we're going to bring in a softbox light, which is great for interviews, we want to light up the right side of the talent from our perspective. And this creates a shadow on his left, or in other words, the side that is closest to the camera. This creates depth and makes your talent look best, as we're not throwing light on the biggest visible area on the skin. Now, if we ask the talent to look the other way, his eyes will go over the axis of the camera, bringing the other side of his face closest to the camera. The light is now flat and is not making him look best on camera either. So long story short, make sure that the shadow side sits closest to the camera. In a different environment, pay attention to the windows or the brightest light sources. Position the camera and the interviewer in such a way that the window light, in this case, is coming from the right side so that the shadow on the talent is closest to the camera. Now, I do have to mention that this is a lighting trick that is always going to work. Once you understand more advanced techniques in cinematography, you can actually light the closest side of your talent. But then we're gonna have to take a look at types of softness. The visual storytelling is gonna be more important, and practical lights, which is the second tip that I'd like to get into. Now, we've talked about practical lights a lot on the channel, and you guys know how much I love to work with them. Basically, these are visible lights in your framing, such as decorative lights, such as I have here behind me in the studio, but also hot spots, such as casting a light onto the background. Now, these lights not only make your environment more interesting, as you're literally putting something decorative in your shot, but again, they're also going to contribute to creating depth. We have a difference in bright areas and darker areas. It's this idea of creating layers that creates depth and in general just makes a more professional background. Fun fact, we have released our short film. If you haven't seen it yet, check out our channel. But for the dark scenes, we mostly only worked with practical lights. These are things that you can find in your garage or from a hardware store. So you don't need expensive lights to make something really cool. Now, there are tons of more things that you can do with lighting, but I don't want this to only be a lighting tutorial. Definitely keep an eye out for the 5-day deal bundle, as we're going to get some really amazing courses on lighting. I've already seen them and they are pretty incredible. But I can't go into details yet.
It's a secret.
Shut up.
So again, check that first link in the description down below, guys. Don't miss it out. Alright, tip number 3, the camera. And I want to cover a couple of things right here. You can shoot an interview with one camera, and if you want to make it more dynamic, you can add a second or even a third camera. But there can only be one main camera. For that main camera, it's important to keep the height at eye level, unless you really have a purpose for placing it higher or lower. Having it at eye level is a natural way of shooting interviews, and it will not have a status impact on the interviewee. So if you have one setup where multiple people have to come in and out for an interview, make sure to adjust the camera height each time. And the same thing goes for the person asking the questions. Let them sit on a chair or stand up if the interviewee also does. They have to look straight forward and not awkwardly up or down. And this is a very small thing, but it could have a huge impact in the professionalism of your interview. Now, if you do want to get more creative with the camera, then use the second or the third camera for that. These are B-roll cameras and are intended to make the whole interview more dynamic and interesting. So yes, feel free to place those at a lower or higher angle. Perhaps do something different with your framing, and don't be afraid to experiment. If it eventually didn't work out as you intended to, you always have your main camera, unless the client specifically asks for a 2-camera setup. In that case, I would experiment with a 3rd camera. So that's a bonus tip. You can only learn new skills by trying different things, and it's best to learn with a camera angle that you don't need to include in your edits. Moving on to tip number 4, and that's audio. You want to bring your microphone as close as possible to the interviewee. And if you're just starting out, I would recommend working with a decent lav mic. It suffers the least from echo, or at least compared to sheep or shotgun mics. If you know what you're doing, obviously a shotgun mic is the better choice. But I have almost always worked with a lav mic. You clip it on and bring the receiver end into your camera, and that's it. You don't need a sound guy, which you mostly don't have unless there's budget for your interview, but for me at least it was rarely the case. And having that mic close to the subject picks up less echo and background noise. Now do make sure to always monitor the audio. Cracks, interference, plops, whatever can't be seen on audio meters. You need to listen to that so that you can warn the others, and perhaps the talent needs to answer the question again. I know it's sometimes awkward to put down an interview while you're in the middle, whether that's an interference or a mistake that you've done. Eventually it's gonna be more painful to tell your client afterwards that there's an unusable part in the interview. So make sure to do that during the interview. Again, a bonus tip right there. And if you're enjoying these bonus tips, then you definitely want to check out the first link in the description down below, as the 5-day deal video creator bundle has millions of these bonus tips. And you'll get some LUT packs, video assets, visuals, and even more with it as well. Alright, I'm gonna shut up now.
This is what you're doing. This is what I want you to do. Any questions? Shut up!
Not allowed to talk about the bundle yet. Damn it. Tip number 5. What made my interview so much better over the years is partly the way the interviewee talked. Isn't that something that we can't do much about? Wrong, we can. There's a reason that an interviewer is a specialized job. They have specific skills to make the speaker feel comfortable and talk natural on camera. But if you're getting the same jobs as I usually did, then you know that there's no budget for hiring a professional to ask the questions. So you're probably sitting there next to the camera with your headphones on, asking the questions, and at the same time checking if everything is still recording. In such a situation, first of all, let the person you're going to talk with know that you'll be looking at your monitor sometimes, but also that they don't need to worry about that, and that they need to keep looking at you instead of awkwardly going into the camera oftentimes. This also means that you need to remain calm at all times. Always look up very subtle to your display and pretend like you don't care much about the whole recording, but that you are here to listen to their story. Oftentimes nod or smile. Just don't speak in between, obviously. You want to show your interest in their story, even if it's boring like hell. The interviewee will feel more comfortable knowing that everything goes great and that they have an audience that is interested in their story. Now, if you feel that they are not comfortable, make sure to ask some different questions that you don't intend to use. I would always start by just letting them introduce themselves, and I would just make some small talk, how their day's going, or what they had for dinner, or whatever. I wait for them to get comfortable before I ask the important questions that I need to include in the edits. And again, as little or as stupid this might sound, having someone to listen to who feels comfortable and confident in what they say brings your interview to a whole different level. It's just like with any other film or video. Your cinematography or visual effects doesn't matter if you have a bad story and not a great actor or actress. The interviewee is your actor, or again, actress, and you are the director. Now again, don't forget to enter the giveaway to win a MacBook Pro, a Kessler slider or pocket jib, one of the amazing Westcott products, a Rode microphone, and many other things. Starting tomorrow, we'll be picking out the multiple winners, and the 5-day deal video creator bundle will go live, and trust me, you really don't want to miss this out, guys. So make sure to visit that first link in the description down below, or head straight to Cinecom.net/giveaway. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and have the notification bell enabled, because tomorrow evening I'll be publishing a video where I'll go in depth about the video creator bundle. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and as always, stay creative.